For months and months, their voices seem to have gone unheard. Thousands of average citizens fighting for their dream home and hard-earned savings. Perhaps justice from the top court wasn't far away.
Well, a terse message coming from the Supreme Court yet again for the Jaypee Group, and this time around the Supreme Court categorically saying that this is a group, this is a company that has ridden high with the money of the investors, and now they cannot be allowed to destroy the lives of these home buyers. So clearly the Supreme Court not willing to relent and categorically stating that the company owners cannot go ahead and alienate their rights on the property, neither can they alienate the rights of their family members.
Chief Justice of India observed that builders reach where they do in life because of the money of home buyers. And so, without any further delay, Jaypee Infra and its promoters should pay up like nice boys. Jaypee Infra that almost a decade ago launched over 50 projects and cashed in on the real estate boom, has now declared bankruptcy. The big question that faces thousands of home buyers is, when and how will they get their money back? Let's debate. Good evening, voters. The Supreme Court of India has decided to take up your battle and fight your battle. About 32,000 home buyers, people, citizens, families who bought their homes in Jaypee projects, almost 16,300 home buyers who bought their projects in Unitech, and several others. The Supreme Court is now personally looking at how to get the money from these builders and give it back to you. That's 500,000 home buyers and families stranded right there. There are many more, thousands and thousands more across the country who either haven't gone their dream home or haven't gotten their money back. So the courts can only pave the way, guide us and show us the way. It is up to the government of the day to bring in a legislation that really solves the larger problem. It is up to the government of the day to implement the laws and make the right people answerable, make them pay. So what should the state governments today, what should the center government now do? Or are they going to just sit back and wait for the Chief Justice of India to resolve every home buyer's problem? Let us begin this debate. We've got three main questions. Question number one, should a builder, promoter of a company which is in real estate, be made to pay from his personal property and assets if he fails to deliver on the promises of a home to an average citizen? Should we sell off their jewelry, sell off their property, cars, bungalows, whatever it is, to ensure thousands of buyers get their money back? Question number two, has RERA, the Real Estate Regulatory Agency, the much talked, much awaited agency, and that law really failed to protect you, the citizen, the home buyer? Is it skewed to help certain corporates? And question number three, should citizens' money be refunded before any of the other lenders get back? Currently, they're not on par with the bankers. So if a company goes bankrupt, if Jaypee goes bankrupt, the other lenders may end up getting their money back first before you do. We'll debate that. Let's say good evening to our guests this evening. Mr. Sarthak Nayak, advocate for the Supreme Court, will be speaking to us on behalf of the buyers and the home owners. And Zafar Islam, spokesperson for the BJP. Mr. Sarthak Nayak, let me come to you first. Do you believe this is the way forward now? That builders, real estate agents or companies should sell their own private property, that property should be seized if they fail to pay up?
Let me begin this debate by telling you the entire exercise which is being undertaken by the Honorable Supreme Court of India is only being done to protect the larger interest of the home buyers. As far as government of the day is concerned, the government of the day has clearly failed in protecting the interest of the home buyers. There is a policy in the insolvency code, and there is also the law is defective. I think we should sell their assets. Extreme steps should be taken by the Honorable Supreme Court of India when the scheme before the IRP fails. But the IRP scheme, when Section 9A was amended, it was more or less builder friendly than home buyers friendly. What the government did, government very cleverly inserted 9A and stated that anybody who claims himself to be a creditor can go there and tell that I have these grievances and IRP is going to look after that grievance. I think when IRP fails, in that case, the Supreme Court should come into picture, and the Supreme Court can always exercise its powers under Article 142 of the Constitution of India and direct and pass any kind of order. But at this juncture, when the matter is being pending before the Supreme Court and Supreme Court has stayed the proceedings before the Insolvency Court, I think that extreme step can be taken when all the steps before the IRP fails. But having said that, let me tell you, Supreme Court has taken the responsibility of the Government of India. And when a PIL was filed before the Honorable Supreme Court of India, government was absolutely in a panic mode. The government could have brought in a law by stating that the creditors are secured creditors, and apart from the financial creditors and operating creditors, the primary objective should have been to refund the hard-earned money of the citizens of this country, and the government failed to do that. And in extreme case, definitely their assets will be sold if no other remedies will be available under law.
Okay, so exactly the point. If the onus has now come down on the top court, Mr. Zafar Islam, the government failed to protect the interests of home buyers or even provide them with a remedy. And as I come to you to respond to what Mr. Naik is saying, here is what the top court, the Chief Justice, observed today. Agli tareekh ko achhe bacche ki tarah paise deposit kar dena, which is to say deposit the money like a good kid on the next date of hearing. This court has nothing against you. Home buyers need to get their money back. These people, alluding to the directors or the promoters, have gone to the top at the expense of the home buyers' money. You mortgage, sell your assets, jewelry, and pay back. Otherwise, we will attach your properties. Buyers must be paid their money back. The top court says, and this is the message to all those companies, real estate giants who've had a great time for the last 15 years and managed to get away with their greed. Do not destroy the lifetime savings of middle-class home buyers. Mr. Zafar Islam, should the government take this hint and get cracking? If a greedy real estate owner is not giving the money back, sell their property and give the money.
Tanvi, you are aware of the real estate industry. It was an unorganized industry, an unregulated industry till the RERA was in place. And that initiative has been taken by our government. It was never taken, this kind of initiative was never taken up by UPA or for that matter any previous government. Let me tell you, this RERA itself brings a lot of transparency, accountability, and it definitely safeguards the interests of a home buyer. All of us know that kind of a governance mechanism which has been put in place in this RERA Act, so that a common buyer, a home buyer, which earlier they had absolutely, like dark, used to be in dark, and when they used to buy a property, today they will have all the clarity upfront, and they will know that what kind of a risk they are taking and what is the remedies available to them. In the past, including all of us must have experienced, whoever bought apartment, that it used to be one-sided agreement. We always used to be at the mercy of the builder or the developer, and they will take us for a ride, and all of us are the victim of that situation in the past. But today, I must tell you that it is the responsibility of the government was there, and we delivered it to the expectation of common buyer, not in terms of protecting the interests.
How did you deliver?
RERA is a classic example, Tanvi, that if you see RERA, it is, how did it deliver means that if any buyer, today you can't retrospectively, you can implement a legislation. It has to be prospective. It has to be from a prospective date. But all I'm saying that in the past, you know that how a buyer used to be cheated by the builders, all the developers. Purely because they used to have one-sided
very
agreement.
Good point, sir. I will come back to RERA in just a bit. Mr. Zafar Islam, good point there. I will come back to RERA in just a bit. That is our second question. But like you said, that's from here on. It's prospective. What are you going to do to deliver justice to thousands and thousands of people who are already stuck, who have lost their money? उनका क्या होगा? वो अब सिर्फ कोर्ट जा सकते हैं, सरकार कुछ नहीं करेगी.
See, let me tell you that as far as our government is concerned, see, government has certain responsibility and they have towards the citizen of this country, and also there is a responsibility that they cannot ad hoc manner, the abrupt manner they can deliver a legislation. You have to safeguard the interests of everyone, including the home buyer, including ensure that the governance level and transparency level, as well as the level playing field and the comfort of the developer as well. You cannot ignore the interest.
As home buyers,
you can see.
Yes, Mr. Naik has a question for you. Mr. Naik, what is your question? Mr. Naik, what is your question?
Any kind of remedies available? Was there not interest protected in there and because of the RERA?
I would like to quickly ask
him. There are some. No, let me just complete.
I would like to quickly ask him. One from RERA point of view and one from insolvency point of view.
Home buyers who are stuck.
Okay, please complete.
No, let me tell you that there are some buyers who have invested, home buyers who have invested in projects which is not taking off, which has not taken off because of X, Y, Z reason, and primarily because of the greed, as Tanvi pointed out as well, that the developers are generally very greedy in nature and they have taken everyone on ride. And that's why some of the home buyers who have invested in the past have not been delivered their apartment and they are suffering.
Question for
I'm
you.
sure
I got your point.
For government, their interest.
So I got your point.
No.
Yeah, he's got your point. Let's move on quickly. Let's move on quickly to the next point now.
The next common buyer is supreme, and we will always.
Okay, so the interest of the common man is supreme, Mr. Zafar Islam. Listen to what. Just 1 minute, Mr. Naik. Kamal Sinha, a viewer, has just left us a comment saying, "Your revealing information is not going to be enough. You need to minimize the risk for citizens while buying properties." They're asking you, Mr. Sarthak has just said this government has failed in safeguarding the interests of a home buyer. You must respond on that, Mr. Narendra.
9A was amended. Why not before that?
Okay, Mr. Naik.
Why after the PIL was filed, 9A was amended, number one? And number two, why in categorical words you did not put and said that the home buyers are creditors, they are secured creditors. In this case, they are unsecured creditors, their principal is not even secured. Why in categorical terms you didn't do it? Can a secured creditor in the form of a home buyer file an insolvency proceedings? A home buyer cannot go to the court and file an insolvency proceedings. You are put in a category in which he has to go before the IRP and beg. Therefore, the Honorable Supreme Court of India appointed two amicus curiae and directed them that you be the representative of the home buyers before the creditors and represent them before the IRP.
Okay. Okay.
Why a PI has to be filed for an act to be amended?
Good
Which
point.
kind of act you have drafted?
This is what Zafar Islam we were also going to ask you, which is to say, should the home buyers be put on par? You are saying that the law has to be balanced, redressal has to be balanced between the both, but the citizens are not on the same level as any of the other lenders. They have also put in their hard-earned money. They're going to get their money last at the end. And for that, they will have to run around everywhere. Is that law fair?
Tanvi, let me make 2 or 3 statements, and that will address the concern expressed by Mr. Naik and you. As far as the government is concerned, government has dual responsibility to safeguard the industry. If there is no industry, the home buyers will never have the flat available. So ensure that that's the and also. As I said, the supreme is supreme for the government to ensure that the common man's interests and the common buyer's interests are also safeguarded. Having said that, see, once RERA was introduced purely because of this intent, and it's an evolving process. If something which needs to be addressed, the government is sensitive and will take cognizance of what needs to be done, will definitely get done.
Okay, Mr. Islam, Mr. Zafar Islam, you know, okay, the guiding principle we understand, but you are saying your responsibility, sure, fair enough, is also to support the industry. But look where that's gotten us. Whether it was because of you or the previous government, you supported the industry to such a significant extent that now now you have
cannot
unfinished
claim
projects,
what-
you have empty homes, and people
No,
who
Tanvi.
don't have a home still, they're not buying anymore, they've lost trust and then their faith in the government and in the builders.
The citizens of this country
Tanvi,
or those defaulters.
Apparently both equally is what
you
Mr.
cannot
Islam
hold
is
us
saying.
responsible. That was that.
Let's move
that
on to
was the
question
government
number
of-
2. Yes, that was the previous government.
That-
You
that
have
time
to...
It was UPA.
Yes, and you got voted to power. You must resolve their issue is what we are saying,
No,
telling you
see,
tonight. Question number 2. Let's get to
Tanvi.
RERA now. Tell me, do you believe
Tanvi,
RERA is a good law and it is going to protect the interests of the home buyers? Mr. Zafar Islam, you brought up this topic. So let Sarthak Naik come in on this and then you can respond to him.
Only legislating law is not going to help. The law can't be toothless. If you see the penal provisions of RERA, maximum period of punishment which is prescribed is up to 3 years. At best, you can cancel a registration. You can ask them to pay interest up to 10% or some point of time. These are all toothless. Anybody who is gulping 2,000, 3,000 crore rupees and maximum period of punishment prescribed is up to 3 years. These are cases of cheating. These are cases of breach of trust. I think parallel criminal proceedings should go on against them. The government should initiate proceedings under 420, 120B and 406 and these people should be sent to jail for cheating.
Okay,
they
so
have wrongfully
tell me this, Mr.
gained
Nayak.
And the home buyers have wrongfully lost.
Tell me
It's a
this,
clear
Mr.
cut case
Nayak.
of cheating. Why
This
the government is silent?
For the common viewer, for the common home buyer to understand, Mr. Nayak, this is what the law says. If you choose to withdraw from the project, you have the right to be compensated for the full amount. Of course, in the event that the project is not delivered on time. The citizen has the full right to withdraw and get compensated. You have to be paid till the date along with interest. You get this right as soon as the date has passed, the date of completion and delivery. If the builder or the developer is not voluntarily compensating you or claims to have gone bankrupt, you have the right to file a complaint before the regulatory authority. Then what happens, Mr. Nayak? It all sounds great on paper, but if I go to the regulatory authority today, what happens?
If you go to regulatory authority right now, I think it is a waste of time. People have failed before RERA. People have failed before the insolvency proceedings. Therefore, the matter is being pending before the Honorable Supreme Court of India. If RERA would have been that great, if the procedures of RERA would have really gave justice to the people of this country, why the proceedings are not pending before RERA and people have gone to the Supreme Court of India? The moment people have gone to the Supreme Court of India and proceedings elsewhere have been stayed, that itself is testimony of the fact that RERA is absolutely toothless. RERA's applicability as far as penal provisions is concerned is not going to threaten anybody. And if person is going to go to RERA, it's just a waste of time. Suppose if a poor farmer after 20 years has wanted to give a flat to his daughter at marriage, he will not be satisfied with compensation. Why should anybody get compensation if he is asking for a building? Somebody may be really asking, people work throughout their life so that they can get a home for themselves. They don't need compensation. They can deposit that money in the bank and get interest.
Absolutely. But the dream of a home is already shattered. But, you know, the other side is who's going to build it now? A half-baked project. You will not find any other builder to come and build it. I don't think the government has the wherewithal to.
Can I just come in?
Yes, Mr. Zafar from Islam, quickly, please. And I have 3 callers waiting on the phone with questions for you, I'm sure. Go ahead. For Islam, quickly, 30 seconds.
No, my response to Mr. Naik. First of all, the cases which are pending in the court is prior to RERA was introduced. Secondly, Mr. Naik, the way he is expressing himself is like Dil Mange More. It has been delivered RERA and still is unnecessarily being extremely critical to RERA. First, Mr. Naik, prior to RERA, you see that project used to be there without approval. Now everything has to be approval upfront before you launch it. Then you cannot mislead. No, you cannot mislead a customer. You can see. You were investing as an uninformed investor. Today you will be well informed investor because you have the approval in place. The money will go in the escrow account. No, I'm saying
No.
that the RERA brings
Therefore,
a
the
lot of
Supreme Court has appointed
transparency,
an amicus
accountability,
curiae.
and you want
Therefore, the Supreme Court
Okay,
has appointed
let's-
an amicus
if you
curiae
put
and
a
Supreme Court has
Okay,
said
calm
that
down,
they will
gentlemen.
develop a website.
No.
Okay, let's hear it from the people.
If you put a
Mr. Zafar Islam,
those who
Mr.
do not
Zafar
deliver
Islam,
on
if you
time
think
will be hanged to death. Will
that
work?
Sarthak Nayak
Will
doesn't
that
have a
work?
valid point here, Mr.
Unnecessarily,
Zafar
you are
Nayak,
trying
let's
to be
find out
critical,
from the
which is not
people.
warranted.
Let's
You have
find
to
out
see
from the
merits of
people. This is the
RERA.
last
You have to
word,
see-
where the voter gets to have the last word. We have got Raju Ranjan calling me from the national capital itself. Go ahead. Good evening, Raju. Go ahead, please.
Good evening, ma'am. I have a question with Mr. Jafar Islam.
Yes, go ahead, please. Ask a question.
I have a question with Mr. Jafar Islam. What the government of Uttar Pradesh and central government is doing to help the buyers of Amrapali projects? Because I came to know that they had set up a committee of 3 ministers. They have spent 1 or 2 months with discussing with the builders and authority, but no outcome has been given to any of the home buyers. Several cases have been filed against the Amrapali builder, but no arrest has been made as on date. Nobody is there from the Amrapali to respond to the buyers. So I don't know what the government is doing on this behalf.
Okay, you want to know what the government of Uttar Pradesh and centre are doing to follow up on the Amrapali case? Why haven't they been arrested? In the Unitech case, the promoters have been behind bars for a while now because they couldn't deliver on their promises, and the top court has been very strict about it. Thank you, Mr. Ranjan. We will go across to Zafar Islam in just a bit. Let's see if we can quickly first go to Sajal Gupta calling us from Gurugram. Sajal, do you have a question?
Yeah, ma'am. My question is that Supreme Court is helping the buyers, but I think I see a very little action from government. I am from Haryana, and I have a project I have a home booked in Today Home Infrastructure in Sector 73, Candy Green. I booked it in 2011 end, and after 7 years, the project is only 50% complete, and I paid 90% money there. Now the problem is, there is no RERA, which is a BJP ruled state in Haryana. There is no RERA instituted as on date in Haryana.
Okay, all right.
And still, in the sense, we have filed a case in NCTRC, we have won it there, but again, the builder is making us move from pillar to post, and that's how the state of thing is, and government is absolutely inactive in Haryana.
Okay, point noted. That's Uttar Pradesh and Haryana, 2 different callers. I believe Atul is also calling us from the same NCR region. Atul Sachdeva, go ahead, please.
मैं जफर से बात करना चाहता हूँ कि मेरा 2009 से बुक था अमरपाली अपना यूनिटेक में, आज तक उसका कुछ मिला नहीं है। वहाँ कुछ भी कंस्ट्रक्शन खड़ी हुई है और कुछ नहीं है, और मेरे को 20,000 रुपया महीना हर महीने किस्त देनी पड़ती है बैंक में, और साथ में आज तक कुछ मिला नहीं है। बल्कि बिल्डर ने, हम जाके पता करते हैं कि बिल्डर ने अपनी जमीन अभी तक उसको अथॉरिटी को पैसा नहीं दिया। 3-4 जगह उसने जमीन को कर्जे में लिया हुआ। ना तो आपका रेरा की डिजिटल इंडिया में उसका तो वेबसाइट ही नहीं खुलती है, ना कुछ हो रहा है। बल्कि जफर जी, आपको चाहिए कि अपनी तरफ से सरकारी वकील खड़े करें, प्राइवेट इतनी बड़ी आप सरकार चला रहे हैं, तो ये अपनी तरफ से सरकार पब्लिक के लिए कुछ करती क्यों नहीं है? आज तक कुछ किया नहीं। मेरे को आज 10 साल हो रहे हैं, मेरे को पोजीशन नहीं मिला। मैं क्या करूंगा अब लेके? वहां तो सिर्फ एक ढांचा खड़ा है, जब भी जाओ कुछ नहीं है जी, हम कुछ कर नहीं सकते। आप सरकार में है, भाजपा की सरकार केंद्र में भी है, और उसमें वैसे मोदी जी कहते हैं मैं 20 लाख लोगों को घर दूंगा, आज तक एक को भी दे दो, ये पुरानों को दे दो। और
सचदेवा जी, आपको घर कौन से साल में? सचदेवा जी, आपको
मेरा 2009 से बुक है यूनिटेक यूनि होम 117 सेक्टर नोएडा में।
और आप कितना पेमेंट कर चुके हैं? कितना?
मैं 98% कर चुका हूँ, जिसमें 10% ब्याज पीएनबी हाउसिंग फाइनेंस को जाता है। आज तक मेरे को कुछ वहां से कुछ भी नहीं मिला है, बल्कि बैंक मिले हुए हैं इनके साथ, बिल्डर्स के साथ।
सचदेवा जी, जफर इस्लाम तो आपको जवाब देंगे ही, पर मैं आपको ये बता दूं कि जो यूनिटेक का केस है, जहाँ पे 16,000 से ज़्यादा लोग हैं जिन्होंने ये घर खरीदे थे, और ऑलमोस्ट 8,000 करोड़ का अब कर्जा है यूनिटेक पे, जो ये इन 16,000 लोगों को वापस करना है उन घरों के लिए, क्योंकि वो घर नहीं दे पाए। उस केस में तो अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट ही खुद पर्सनली
देख रहा है, उन्होंने एक कमिटी बिठाई है, एक एमिकस क्यूरे लॉयर, सीनियर लॉयर बिठाए हैं, उनको बोला एक वेबसाइट शुरू करें, सार्थक, इफ आई एम नॉट मिस्टेकन ना, वो वेबसाइट शुरू करेंगे, उस पर बताएंगे धीरे धीरे 16-16, 20-20 करोड़ इकट्ठा करके यूनिटेक जो पैसे जमा कर रहा है सुप्रीम कोर्ट के पास, और वो आप लोगों तक कैसे पहुंचेगा. सो दैट्स व्हाट द सुप्रीम कोर्ट इज डूइंग, both in the case of Unitech and now a more similar pattern for JP. What will the government do? Mr. Zafar Islam, 3 callers, all had questions for you.
I think government should do that.
Yeah.
Why the Supreme Court should do it?
See, Tanvi, these cases are pending in the Supreme Court, and the Honorable Supreme Court is taking a view on this case, and they will pronounce judgment as and when they are ready with the Supreme Court is ready to pronounce judgment.
Yeah, but there are so many other cases. You can bring in a policy.
Yeah. Their plight. No, that's what I'm saying. As far as home buyers are concerned, we understand their plight, because we know that all of us are the victim, because this real estate building developing community always had one-sided agreement. They took most of the money and they delivered, and they used the siphoned this money for their own purposes, for some other purposes, buying land and promoting other businesses. So they have taken common buyer or home buyer for a ride. That is very well known, and I'm sure that government, like we have come out with RERA, they will also ensure something. We come up with some legislation which also protects the interest of a common.
See, Mr. Zafar Islam, what Sarthak is saying here, it's very simple.
And that's why you must acknowledge.
It's very simple. Zafar Islam, what Sarthak Naik is saying here, that's all the government of the day needs to do. You force the...
Let me ask him 3 questions.
You force the... Yeah, let me just finish this point. You force the builder to give you money little by little. That's what the Supreme Court is doing. 2,000 crore साथ में नहीं दे सकते. All right. Give us about 250 to 300 crores every quarter, and we will put it up together in one account. We will start disbursing it to the home buyers. We will do it in a transparent way, make the details public on a website so that people know when and where they're going to get their money back, is one example. Sarthak, you wanted to add to that.
Quickly, I would like to tell you 2 things. First of all, Supreme Court is doing the job of the government. That itself is testimony of the fact that the government has failed. Number 1. Number 2, the initiatives which you have taken quickly, I would like to ask you 3 questions. The amendment in section 9A of the insolvency code which you have done, can you tell the people of this country quickly 3 things? Number 1, whether the creditor is secured or unsecured, and whether his principal is secured in terms of the new amendment. Number 1. Number 2, what are the chances of refund? Is the refund is third in category after the payment to the secured creditors and operating creditors? And number 3, why in that amendment there is not a provision that the buyers should be treated as a creditor and they themselves can go and file an insolvency proceedings? You please answer these 3 categorical questions.
Okay, that's
then we can know that you are making an effort.
There is also a third question. See, why don't you put citizens on par with the other lenders?
No, Tanvi, see, all questions
why the citizens will not be treated as creditors instead of being in the mercy of IRP?
No.
Yes, Mr. Zafar Islam, respond please.
Mr. Naik, I understood your question. See, I understood your question. Basically, it relates to one another, all the questions that citizens' right, the home buyer's right. And home buyer's right needs to be protected, and that should be the paramount in anyway in terms of treatment, whether they are treated at par with other creditors, they are treated at par, or they should be treated over a priority senior secured lender as against the other senior secured lender in terms of seniority. See, these treatment has never been done in the past. This legislation was never there in the past. So all these amendments are being put in place to ensure that the common buyer's interest is safeguarded. If something else, to ensure that in terms of seniority, they should be above the senior secured lenders. That's something that can also be.
This is not a proactive step of the government.
That can also be examined. As I said, that can.
This is not a proactive amendment.
Mr. Naik,
from the lady.
It is very easy. No. It is very easy. No. All I am saying that
No,
it is
it's not
very
easy. It's a
easy to
fact.
only criticize.
It's a
You
fact.
also have to understand
You brought in
that
an
what is the
amendment under
government is
9A
doing.
only after the lady filed the PIL.
You are saying.
I'm stating you the facts. You please read section 3 of the Indian Evidence Act. What is the fact?
Mr. Zafar Islam, explain me one thing.
That the government brought an amendment
See,
under 9A after the lady filed a PIL. This is a fact. I'm not criticizing.
That is a fact.
Believe me.
Explain
this is a fact.
How does
this
it
to
matter,
Mr. Zafar Islam. Okay.
Mr. Nayak, you are driving a point which is irrelevant.
Explain to me one thing. Explain to me one thing, Mr. Zafar Islam.
No, this is not absolutely relevant. How can this be a relevant point?
Mr. Nayak,
you brought in an amendment after the lady brought an PIL, and that is also an inadequate.
No, I'm saying that
do you know the amendment protects the rights of the builders more than the home buyers? This is home buyer friendly amendment.
Mr. Nayak, you are fixated about this amendment. All I'm saying, say what does that amendment give you? No, what? See, you are fixated about this amendment. All I'm
amendment
saying
doesn't give anything. Can you file an insolvency proceeding under the amendment?
Further amendment in future.
Can you file? Why the amendment which you brought in?
Mr. Nayak, can you just stop repeating same question time and again?
Have a feature.
Okay, Sarthak Nayak.
Same question time and again.
Allow him.
You do not become very clever by asking same question time and again.
Please take a deep breath. Allow him to respond. Because people want to hear from the BJP what it is that the government intends to do. Yes. Let me ask this in plain simple words. Zafar Islam, don't get dragged into that again. Here is a simple question. Viewers need to know we're running out of time now. If my builder tomorrow turns around after dealing on the project for 5 years and says, I don't have the money, okay, and the entire process of recovering the money begins, will I be the last one to get my money back after all kinds of other lenders, the banks have taken their money, and if something is left, will I be the last one to get my money back? Or do you intend to put me on the same level as the bank to say you also equally deserve to get your money back? That's all we want to understand. Is there an intent there?
See, now let me respond to that. I was trying to tell you the same thing, that whether in terms of treatment, whether they are treated at par or lower or at superior than the senior secured lenders. Something which if it's not there, in terms of the government's intent, in terms of the government's initiative, in terms of the government's desire to ensure that the interest of a common buyer, home buyer, should be protected under any circumstances, even it can be explored, even that if they can be put ahead of, as a senior, ahead of like superior lender, ahead of senior secured lenders, if that something which that protects the interest, probably government we can even explore to delivering that to a common buyer. That is what I'm saying. That's in terms of philosophy of the Bharatiya Janata Party and the government, that to ensure that the common man should not suffer and the government should always come to their rescue. And that's why I was trying to tell Mr. Nayak that in terms of what is not there today, that doesn't mean that cannot be there. It is an evolving process, and these things can be ensured that the
running out of time. Here is a message that I believe Chief Justice Mishra has sent out very clearly to the governments of the day, the center and the states, that a builder cannot run away with the money of a home buyer. They deserve to get their money back. That if the promoters of a particular company are currently behind jail and have been in prison for days together now, over 2 months, it is because they betrayed the trust of 16,000 people. And the top court believes that those people must get their money back. Whether it means selling their cars, selling their bungalows, selling the jewelry, it must be done. So perhaps the government also needs to understand that you have to stop giving so much to these greedy real estate players. Your priority too must be the average citizen, the voter. On that note, I just want to thank our panelists Zafar Islam and Sarthak Nayak for joining us tonight. The story is not over. We will continue to raise our voice for the voter, for the home buyer. Thank you so much.